our Zoom meeting for the week. This is our interview with Cosmo Zimik at Empty Hand Combat. I've got a few announcements for the week, and then we're going to move in. I want to give as much time as we can to Cosmo. He's got a phenomenal life story, and I just want you to be able to hear as much as you can from him. In the way of announcements, for those of you that did try to attend the previously scheduled webinar today from the Unemployment Assistance for Sole Proprietors, the Labor Department apologized here at the last minute for the cancellation, and they, as soon as we get information from them, we'll send it out to you to see when it's rescheduled and keep you updated on that. Moving forward from this week, our next Zoom meetings are not going to be live. This is our last live meeting that we'll be hosting. The rest will be recorded for you to watch at your convenience. So we'll continue interviewing businesses and business owners and folks that are a part of the Main Street program and BID in the downtown. And I'd also like to talk about Fourth Fridays coming up. So June 26th is our first Fourth Friday event that we've scheduled. As long as we continue to move through the opening processes at the governor's level, we're going to move forward with the Fourth Friday. We've got flyers available. We've got posters out and available. We're going to have live bands, food trucks, and a lot of other activities going on the 26th. So if you'd like to have a poster, reach out to me and I can make sure we get some of those down to your business for distribution. Keep tabs on our Facebook and Instagram pages, social media. We will have event updates throughout the next couple of weeks there as well. We do need sponsors yet. So we do have some sponsorships available for folks that are interested in that. So if you're looking to sponsor us in any way, please let us know. And again, you can contact me directly and we can get all the information to you on that. The other thing we're going to need is volunteers. We're going to be spread out this year more so than we were in the past, partly by original design and partly because of dealing with the physical distancing that we'll need to take care of. And so we do need a lot of volunteers on those Fridays. So it's a great way, I think, for you if you've been working from home and would like to see your coworkers face to face while physically distancing safely. It'd be a great opportunity for you to come down and help out for a couple of hours on those Fridays. So again, just feel free to reach out to me at my email or give me a call. If you're on this call, you've gotten an invite and you have that contact information on that email. And speaking of weekly emails, if there are people that you're aware of that are not getting the email on a weekly basis and you think it'd be good for them or they've expressed interest to you, again, please just reach out to me and we can get that out there to you and get those folks updated on that. So with that, Robin, is there anything that I've missed at all on the announcement side of things?
I don't think so. I have the site on the cornhole tournament.
Oh, good. Yes. So as part of the Fourth Fridays, the Nampa Rec Department is going to be running cornhole tournaments. So they've got that set up. We'll be in Lloyd Square for that during the Fourth Friday events, and it's a city-run tournament. And so put your teams together, and you can register. Well, again, we'll have information coming out, but you can register at the Nampa Rec site online or give them a call, and we'll have that information out later in our post-Zoom updates. So thanks for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Cosmo, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
And so Robin, I'm seeing the main page for the the sheets. Can you take that down so we can actually see Cosmo?
Yes, let me do that. There we go.
Great, thank you. So Cosmo, you've been in business in downtown Nampa for quite a while, and just like many other business owners, we've all come through an extremely hard time financially, emotionally, and for some it's actually affected them physically.
Yeah.
Tell us what the last 9 to 10 weeks have been like for you.
Yeah, we actually we're lucky in the sense we get to learned from the East Coast with a similar company, martial arts. So it was hitting them hard earlier than us. So we learned a lot about do's and don'ts. And then they were already on Zoom and all the problems and things like that. And we did start Zoom right away. But when the governor announced that Nampa is going to go through the, quarantine, we lost almost 50%, So it kind of hit us hard. But we continue on with the Zoom. But what we did was we sent out a lot of handwritten notes. We called them personally. We emailed them. We text them. We got a free text credit. So we text all our clients. But we still, with all the hard works, we still lost about almost 50%. So we kind of, just try to live frugal. We laid off our staff for a while. We had just one on position to help me with the Zoom. So she practically just helped from her home, and two of us were teaching the Zoom for a couple months.
How many staff do you have normally when you're up and operating?
We have 4 paying staff, and we have about 5 volunteers. We also mentor a lot of kids. We teach about 20 kids for free, and we mentor maybe about 30 kids, at-risk youth and trouble kids. Sometimes the probation officer, they'll recommend them to us. It's a full-time business, but we used to have nonprofit, but we cut that off now. So we're just doing out of the heart of Empty Hand Combat. So we still have a lot of mentoring things. So we have about 10 staff, but only 4 paying.
Okay. Well, let's talk, move just a little bit and talk a little bit about you and how you got into this business that you brought to Nampa. So if I understand correctly, you were born in Manipur, India.
Yep.
You started martial arts training at age 4, taking lessons from your older brother.
Yes.
You were a street fighter at age 9.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
Spent years in the underground fight clubs, were tortured and left for dead in the jungle at 17.
Yeah.
And you end up marrying a missionary who has friends in Eagle, Idaho.
Yeah.
And you end up in downtown Nampa as a 6th-degree black belt operating a dojo teaching at-risk kids. So
yes.
How does that all come together?
Well, I have been doing this for many years in India and Hong Kong and other part of the world. But I had a friend in Idaho say, hey, come up here and help me out, earn some money for your wedding. So I was engaged at that time with this missionary. And they told me, don't go to Boise Greenbelt. It's very dangerous. So the first thing I did was go to downtown Boise Greenbelt. They said, don't do it. Don't go there. So I went there and it was paradise on earth. I've never found a place more peaceful than Boise downtown Greenbelt. So I'm like, I want to live here. And I told my fiance at that time, do you mind if we live in Idaho? And so we moved up here. And I was a chaplain at the prison of Idaho State Correction, employed by the state of Idaho. Yeah. And I deal with a lot of inmates and some of the church. And we live in Nampa for the last 15 years. And there was a lot of needs. There's a little baby kids program, and there's a lot of adult, but there's no program for teen, anywhere in Idaho so much. There's teen challenge and stuff like that. But these are kids beyond the radar. They're not arrested yet, but they're like heading towards the juvenile. So we started this gym called Empty Hand Combat. When we started off, it was purely kind of like a nonprofit. So we had 120 kids and about 15 kids paid. Most of them didn't pay. And so we kind of lost all our money and almost went bankrupt. So we turned around and so we turned into a business now. And we still help the kids. But part of the reason I started was I wanted to really reach out the gang kids in Nampa. And one of our main instructor was from the Northsider, Norteno gang. And he used to beat up people for $20, break your garage and car and things like that. And so I helped him get the GED, and he's our main instructor now. And he also is a supervisor at his job. And he changed his life so much. We don't want to sound like a cold or crazy people, but he found God. So I actually baptized him outside the dojo in a horse trough. So he's one of our leaders now. And we've been in downtown Nampa about 10 and a half years now.
So you're running it as a business, but
Yes.
you're still reaching out to these
Yes.
kids that are at risk,
Yes.
who maybe can't pay, and so you're
Yes.
scholarshiping several of these kids.
Yes.
What is it? Is it your background, your life? What has attracted you to working with these
Yeah.
at-risk kids?
That's the thing there. So this is very unique. Not everybody can do it. So I always tell people I'm crazy in a good way, good crazy, right? So these kids, I can reach them because I'm a little more crazy than them. You know, some of these kids are very, very violent, and I actually take them out shooting, and they got healed, and they're in the military, Marine Corps, Army, they're in Navy, they went to college. And these are not like your bad kids, like, you know, your kids start misbehaving or something like that. Some of these kids they have no parents at all. Their parents are in prison or single mom and beyond hope. And the youth pastor couldn't help, you know, he doesn't like God at all or anything religious or anything of, you know, law enforcement nature. They don't want to listen to nobody. So I said, hey guys, come, I'll give you everything free. All I want you to do is clean my toilet. And so something about cleaning the toilet, you know, I have 17 kids that clean the toilet every day, and my toilet's uglier. It's not like super clean, right? But it's just the concept of cleaning the toilet, like change their life and kind of humble them down. And also I have no fear, you know, I'm not just a physically tough type things, but mentally, like I have no fear. So these kids can feel it that, you know, like, hey, you know, we're all gonna die anyway, you know, who cares, right? So I just want to be there for them. And the last thing is everybody talks, you know, kind of like me, but for these kids, what is the difference between you and me and him? And it's very hard for the kids to like differentiate. They don't trust nobody. So I have to really walk the extra mile, and it's not a fun job, you know. I go to driving license and stand in line 3 hours with them. I take my truck out and teach them driving, and I have to go 3 in the morning sometime, you know, outside the door because someone's trying to break in or something happened, you know. So it's a very unusual job. Luckily or unluckily, me and my wife, we have no kids, so we have lots of time, and it's like a perfect fit for both sides of the party, you know.
Well, tell us a little bit about your wife. I've met her, but probably a lot of people in town don't know her.
Yeah, she actually helped run the rescue mission, Boise and Nampa, you know, the rescue mission ministry. So she's the administrator there. She was a missionary in Africa and Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and she lives in Hong Kong and China for 5 years. So a long time ago, I'm not that much of a stuntman anymore. But a long time ago, I was a stuntman. So that's how we met. I do stunts at like Olympic or Asian Olympic. So we met at Asian Olympic, and she was a missionary as a basketball and English teacher from China. And she's from California actually, but she was in China. And I was a stuntman, so I came to Asian Olympic to do stunts. And so that's how we met.
And that's how you met. And
yeah,
ended up in Idaho.
Idaho,
and you've adopted the street kids of Nampa and are teaching them basically life skills, it sounds like.
Yes.
And just making an influence in their lives.
Yes.
Well, I want to say thank you. As
you.
Somebody that's lived in Nampa for almost 40 years now, I've actually seen and I've talked with some of the kids that have gone through your program. And I know firsthand the effect that you've had in their lives. And so as somebody that lives in Nampa, I want to say thank you for being a part of our town and who we are as a group of business owners and just the citizens of Nampa. So given where you've been, what you've just been through in the last 9 to 10 weeks, what's your dream, your vision going forward with your business?
Yeah, it really make us think outside the box. So we are actually going to start an online course for India, you know, and Burma. Originally, I'm from there, and also America. So we're filming right now women's self-defense and also a fitness class. So we're going to start selling program online, you know, and we're just trying to be prepared if this ever happen again. So we want to start preparing and think outside the box. So really make us think in lots of other areas, make us appreciate more life, you know. And so we're preparing some of the parents that hey, if this ever happen again, this is how we can train. So kind of like upgrades in everything, upgrades of life, upgrades of, make us actually tougher, because this was really hard on us too. We didn't get the PPP right away. So we didn't know if we were going to get or not, we actually just barely caught it like 2 weeks ago. So we were like, we didn't know if we were going to get it or not. So we were like, just prepare, So I think it was really bad for us too, but just make us think outside the box,
That's odd. So it's actually forced you to go global
Yeah.
in your outreach for your business.
Yeah.
Have you started that yet, or is that?
Yeah, we haven't started selling the program, but I contact some of my martial arts kids in India. I say kids, but they're in their 30s now, because I come from there, and they were all my students. So I start contacting them, and they're like, heck yeah, we'll buy your program for $10. So India, they're poor, but they make $400 or $500 now because of call centers, teaching an American, Canadian, American, European school, English speaking school. So they make $400 or $500 a month, and they're like, yeah, we can buy $10 program. So we're heading that way, and we'll launch probably around August or September. But we're just preparing, like something outside the box. If this crash, what do we do,
That's amazing. I love hearing the ingenuity of our downtown businesses and what they're doing and how they're looking at coping with things as are going on. Let me ask you another question, Cosmo. You've been in Nampa for what, 15 years now? Is that right?
Yes.
About 15. What excites you about being a part of our downtown Nampa business community?
I think when we first came here about 10 years ago, we just tried to go to store and introduce ourselves, and things like that. But the one thing really neat is I always hang out outside, like brooming or watering something in the gym, because kind of bored just to be inside here, But a lot of these store owners, they're walking by for lunch and they just say, hi, how you're doing? And they're really interested that we're here. We're not like a nuisance to downtown. And we can be, because we're in the martial arts, right? We don't really fit in a way. But a lot of these store owners, they really appreciate we're here, and it's really cool, So we go eat lunch around the things and like, oh yeah, we love your kids, or we love what you're doing, and it's very encouraging. And it's I'm not saying we're better than other cities, but it's very kind of, you don't see that in lots of cities where everybody.
It's okay. You can go ahead and say we're better than other cities. It's all right.
Yeah, but it's very unique, like everyone's so supportive, and
that's great.
We're like a little bit outside the box, so we don't really fit in, but people make us feel very welcome here.
So you've talked a lot about working with kids. Do you only offer classes to kids, or do you offer adult training?
We offer class after hours with adult, and that's when the teenage trouble kids come, or they come really early at 3 p.m. So the trouble kids, they're not in regular class. So your kids will be doing a regular class. So the trouble kids come before the class or after class. And so if you come to learn, or if you just come and hang out, you get a chance to mentor them. So the mentor program is really easy. You just talk to them about 30 minutes. Basically, you just listen, you don't talk much. You just listen, be like a big brother, big sister program. And people are always excited to hear my stories, but it actually sucks because the success rate is less than 10%. America is a very tough country. So in India, the success rate is 95%, right? So here it's like 5%, 10%. So I mentor kids like for a whole year, and they'll just go bonker, So I have had 27 solid success stories. They went to Marine Corps, Navy, drill sergeant, U.S. Army, went to college, reformed, GED, and all this good stuff. But I have reached over 300 kids, almost 500, and I have 27 success stories.
What do you think is, what causes that success rate here in the U.S. to be so low?
I think there's too much thing, too much distraction, too much choice. So this kid's in a food stamp, and somehow he bring me food every week. Like, what the heck, like you're homeless, right? But he's getting food somewhere, and he's bringing me food every week, right? We're so blessed here. We have no clue what a hard life is actually really like, right? I come from a third world. When I say I have no food, we're like drinking water to fill our belly, right? and here the homeless kids bringing me food every week and lots of things. And I just really hard to reach. And I have to think outside the box like the COVID-19. To always find, I have always try to up one game. What is it that these kids will like? So my wife and we save up like 10% of our money and we buy cool stuff like boxing gloves or to lure this kid in, you know? So I'll buy cool, like a t-shirt or something, or I go to China buffet or whatever, buy a bunch of gift cards. So people are like, why is this kid listening to you even? Because I always have something to give. I have like a gift cards. I have a water bottle in my backpack. I always carry a cold water bottle. And I say, hey, it's pretty hot. You want the water? They're like, look at me funny, these kids, you know? And so, oh, I run the empty hand combat downtown, you know? I'm like, I'm not a weird guy, you know? I just love kids and I train all these kids. They're warrior. They become champion. And I even send my kids to Thailand. They're like, oh, wow. And so they take my water bottle and we become friends, you know? So it's not easy, but it's just passion, you know? I'm not telling everybody to do this, but it's just a passion that my wife and we created and we actually love it. It can be very tiring if you don't want to do this, but because we have, number one, we have no kids and plus it's a passion. So I actually love challenging these kids because it always makes me think they're very creative and they get bored in like 5 minutes. So I have to always try to find a way to entertain them in a good way, you know?
Well, I got to say, you're one of the guys that I think has the most energy of anybody I know in Nampa. You have the most energy of just about anybody I've ever met. And there's one or two other people that I know that equal you in energy level. I want to go back to something you said earlier, though, that you originally started this as a nonprofit, but that didn't really work out. So you turned it into a business model.
Yeah.
Do you still have a nonprofit component? If there were businesses out there or individuals that want to help support you and what you do?
We do. We just don't use or solicit any of those things for money or anything. And we just got tired of it because last 8 years, the first 7 years, we have had people come in, become a director and whatnots, but this become very nonsense because sometimes they just want the credit or sometimes it's just a lot of hard work. It was not just their calling, you know? So they all burn out when there's no result. So but we have a nonprofit thing that people can even sponsor just the gloves. So these gloves are only $24, but on internet, it's like $70. So I tell these kids, show the internet, like, dude, look, it's $70 gloves. It's free for you, but I bought it wholesale. So it cost me only 24 bucks. Now this kid's thinking like, oh man, I owe Cosmo the world, you know? So I'm like, all I want you to do is open the door for ladies and say, ma'am, you know, good morning, good evening, ma'am, when you're at the store. And I want you to practice twice this week. And then this all sounds really nonsense to some of you out there, but like these kids have never cleaned their toilet in their home and they have never opened the door for any ladies, you know? So I said ladies because that's where the respect comes in, especially with gang mentality. They see women sometimes as objects. So I teach them a lot about respect of women, you know?
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, so we do have a nonprofit component, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and include in our follow-up email for today, we'll include your contact information if that's okay.
Yeah.
And people can reach out to you if they're interested in helping sponsor a kid through the program or a pair of boxing gloves or whatever it might be to get through the program. That's great.
Thank you.
Well, to close this out, Cosmo, what one thing do you want the rest of us here in Nampa that are listening to you? What do you want us to know about either Cosmo or Empty Hand?
So we're just like you, you know, we're all the same in a way. And one thing I really want to encourage the Nampa, downtown, and Idaho in general is we're a very unique, you know, state, you know, and in this time and age, I think we're very connected to Idaho in the sense, I always have this warrior spirit, you know. So I want to create warrior. My dream in life is not to become famous or make a lot of money, you know, but I would love to create warriors. I would love to create, I say in a good way, not like egoistic way, but in a good way. I would love to create 100 mini Cosmo, you know, who's even bigger and better than me, you know, and I think it's going to take the village to do that. It's going to take our whole community and they don't have to come volunteer or anything, but let's think positive. Let's think about training our own child and the neighbor child, and not giving up, because the future holds in this kid's life, right?
Mm.
The next generation, or even this generation. So I don't want to put on a website all this, but I'm a firm believer that we need to train warrior. We need to train these kids to learn, really respect women, and, you know, respect elderly, and respect the community, you know, not vandalize and things like that. So some of my kids, they always suck the life out of people, and social security and things and stuff, and food stamp. And so they're actually paying tax, and they're actually making more money than ever, you know? And it's really cool to see some of these kids give back. And so just share to people about us if you could. Like I said, I just want to pay my bill. I could care less really about money. You know, seriously, I don't care at all about money or any materialistic thing. I pay my bill. I don't want to be famous or anything, but if you could encourage and share a little bit about us. And if there's a single mom out there that really struggle, we'll take their kids for free, you know, we'll help them.
That's great. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, Cosmo, thanks so much for taking time out of your day and meeting with us. We'll get this recording back out onto the into the cloud, and send the link out here in the next couple of by the end of the day, and get that out. And you know, again, I always enjoy driving by and seeing you out there with your broom or with the hose, or working the kids, hearing them just working so hard. Yeah, it's just a joy to, you know, when I walk by or drive by, to see you out there, and you're always smiling. That's one of the things I love about you. You've always got a great smile on your face. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll look forward to moving forward with these weekly sessions, interviewing folks throughout the community. So Cosmo, thanks again.
Yeah,
have a great day, and thanks to all of you that have tuned in and watched. Thanks.